Welcome to another episode of Comedy Wham Presents with me, your host Valerie, and sometime co-host Miss Purrington, or our other co-host Mookie. Somebody will join us at some point. ComedyWham.com is your place to go for features about all Austin comedy. You can keep up with us on Twitter and Instagram at Comedy Wham or on our Comedy Wham Facebook page. In addition to podcasts, Comedy Wham brings you articles, album reviews, our advice column, Rochelle Takes on Comedy, and we've also got a festivals page and our FPIA 2022 page for Austinites. They know what that is, where you can keep up with all of the contest results. And of course, we're best known for our events page for live shows in Austin, Houston, and DFW. If you're a comic in those cities and want your show featured on the calendar, go to the events page and click Submit a Show. To complete the short survey, tag us on Instagram stories and we'll share your show promo. Looking for ways to support all of these resources that we provide? You can donate to Comedy Wham on PayPal, Venmo, or even Patreon. Search for Comedy Wham on Patreon and check out our subscriber perks. Now let's get back to our podcast. Launched in 2016, the podcast project brings you funny people and their stories. As a fan, I like to delve into a comic's background and motivations, and will usually take a detour along the way. Consider the interview a way for you to get to know the folks that make the Austin comedy scene one of the best in the country. And if you like this podcast, please rate and review us. Today, I am talking to somebody who is a self-proclaimed, or maybe he was given this title, the resident fartist of the Artsy Fartsy Show. He is the host of Unknown Trivia, and that trivia show, place, thing, whatever. You'll find out soon why I am so floored right now in babbling, because our guest has revolutionized my podcasting game after I've been doing this for 6 years. Anyway, he's the host of Unknown Trivia, hosts it at Lucky Duck and other locations around Austin. He's also the co-host of St. Jack Open Mic. I think that one's a Sunday mic?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he is apparently a killer Connect 4 player. And and he's also very patient, because he wanted to do this interview last spring, and I said, nope, can't do it. I'm buried under. And so here we are, late August, finally getting together. So please now welcome Comedy Wham Presents and our podcasting innovator extraordinaire. And also, by the way, he brought cheese, wine, and chocolates. So he's doing the podcast guest game right. Our guest, Alden Schaub.
Oh, hey, thanks, Valerie.
Welcome.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. So anybody that has been on this podcast knows that I have these mics. I love my mics. They're really, really good. And I have them on these really heavy-weighted stands that look like a V. But I've always had the V facing us, the guests, or me, the host, and they jab you in the stomach if you need to get close up. And you just offhand said, well, what if we turn them around so that the V is facing the other direction? And I thought, oh my God, they're going to fall over. They didn't. And now it's like much more natural.
Oh, it's just an innovation.
You've changed the game entirely. I'm going to have to rename this podcast, probably.
Well, and like you say, you've been looking at it the same way for 6 years, and it just makes sense for you that it to be that way. And then someone else looks at it and goes, oh, what the heck's going on with that?
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. Do you walk into situations like that all the time and say, oh, this could be done a different way?
Yeah, I think. I kind of bill myself as like a comedy henchman, a lot of people have projects they want to do and they get it, like 80% there, and then they're ready to go and stuff. But then if they just had somebody to help out a little bit, then, we kind of finish it up. And so I do find myself in that role a lot.
Yeah. That's really cool. I'm just amazed. This is exciting. All right, let's get back to the actual, meat and potatoes of the podcast. I do like to start with an icebreaker question, and that is one word to describe your past.
Oh, yes, I remember that from the last one, and I thought about it extensively over the week, yeah. My word was aimless.
Aimless. An aimless innovator.
That's right. Well, it's different. I'm excited to be involved in entertainment and in comedy, because I feel like I have more purpose now.
Yeah.
Where most of my life I was just like, oh, I'll try out stuff.
Yeah.
And then, you get to a point where you realize, well, maybe I could do this thing, like selling phones or something. But then you're like, is this really what I want to be doing? Well, if you ask yourself that a lot, you end up doing a lot of weird stuff. And then, but I don't know. I just felt like I was wandering quite a bit when I was younger. I mean,
Yeah. Did comedy have a role in your life growing up?
oh, well, yeah, I was always a funny person, I think.
Yeah.
I read Mad Magazine when I was probably like 12, Mad TV, things like that. But also just using it to meet people and to be kind of up in the interaction, trying
Yeah.
to be funny all the time.
Yeah. And then where did you grow up?
Oh, in northern Michigan, in Traverse City.
Oh, okay. Motor area.
Well, I can show you on the map. Your viewers won't
Yeah.
be able to see it here,
Yeah.
but Detroit's like there, and then Traverse City is about 4 hours.
Okay. Wow. What was that like besides cold?
Well, it's warm in the summer, but I don't know. It's all right. I mean, it's like a little tourist town, you
Yeah.
know. And I learned how to ski, and in the summer it's nice, you
Yeah.
know. My parents owned like a cherry farm when I was a kid,
Ah,
so we'd always be doing cherry stuff, and then it's just it's a small town.
yeah. What got you out of Traverse?
Well, I moved around different places. Like, I went to school in Grand Rapids, which is
Okay.
like 2 hours south at Grand Valley, and then I just moved different places. I lived in Utah for 3 years. I lived in Washington State for a little bit, and then I moved back to Michigan, and then I moved here to Austin. So I don't know. Again, just sort of aimlessly trying out things,
Yeah.
and then you just end up places. I mean,
What's the weirdest thing that you tried out, you think, in your pursuit of aim?
this guy, he ran like a trampoline company, kind of. So like, those big inflatable things for like kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just didn't have a job because the ski season had gotten over, and he's like, you want to move these things around with your pickup, Like, okay, so I did it for one day.
That was enough.
Well, what happened is I had a small pickup truck, and so then they have this trailer that you're dragging the thing. Well, my truck wasn't really rated for that. And then, so I put in the pin of the trailer, and I'm driving along. Well, I didn't secure it properly, so I'm going down the highway, and like, the trailer jumps, and then it like slaps into the highway, and
Oh,
so I'm like, oh well, nobody got hurt, and that's fine, But then I look, and the pin had been sheared, so I couldn't actually reattach it. So I had to go to like AutoZone and try to get a new one and all this, and so I was like 5 hours late to the kid's birthday party or something. And, the parents are screaming at
Yeah.
you, and I'm just like, maybe this isn't for me. Like, there's probably a lot easier way to make money.
yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's harrowing. Well, good thing nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
When did you first try your hand at comedy?
Well, in college, I did one open mic, just kind of on a lark, and I forgot all about it till more recently. And then, actually, the first open mic I did here in Austin was at Cherrywood, but that was probably 2 or 3 years ago. But I didn't know that I wanted to do it necessarily. I had been.
Why did you try it back then and when you were in college? What was your instigation?
I just like to talk. I mean, I was president of my investing club and things like that, so the idea of getting up there and speaking wasn't a problem. And I thought, well, I'm here at this place. Why don't I just give it a shot?
Yeah.
I don't even remember if I did jokes or anything. It's probably bad, But I thought, well, it's kind of fun. I just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
But again, I've been hosting these trivia games for a long time, and that sort of got me into it because I was like, usually if you're doing trivia at some point, you like hire other hosts, and you start and run a larger business.
Yeah.
And then you step back from the hosting and you just sort of do the sales. But I was like, I don't want to do that. So I thought, well, what other kind of performing things could I do? And so then, I thought, well, comedy, maybe I'll do improv or maybe I'll do stand-up. And then I was like, oh, I like stand-up, so I'll keep doing that.
Yeah. When did you get started with the trivia?
I've been hosting trivia now for like 10 years.
Wow.
So I did 4 years or so, maybe 5 in Michigan. And I was hosting like 4 shows a night for a company called Team Trivia of Michigan. So that was fun. I learned, but then when I moved down here, again, I just got an oddball job. I thought I wanted to run a pawn shop, so I got a job at a pawn shop. Turned out that's no fun, I mean, it was interesting, but like, so I was like, I kind of miss doing that trivia.
Yeah.
So I just started doing it for myself,
How do you start that?
Well, it's the same way you might start a showcase or something. You walk into the bar and you go, hey, what are you guys doing on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday? And they're like, well, we're not doing anything. Well, you want to do something? And they're like, oh yeah, maybe. And then you start, now I have like a following, so it's a little easier.
Yeah.
Like when I do the show on Mondays, I get maybe 80 people to show up for trivia. So
Wow.
like, that's really good. But I had already a lot of experience because now I write my own questions and I do like fart sound effects, and then
It's always a winner.
well, at first I was like, I like these farts, but maybe I could do like 5 over the 2 hours, But then now I'm doing like 80, and people really can't get enough of it, like, because it's so dumb.
Yeah, yeah.
1, 2, I'm often very reserved and dry, and then so the farts sort of serve as a sidekick, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
bugging them. Well, then 2, I didn't come up with this till recently, but I started doing karaoke versions of songs, and I'll play them between the questions. So sometimes it'll be the regular version, and then sometimes it'll be me singing it, so people think that's really funny. So it's a little nuance to
Yeah.
make the show better.
Are those developments things that you have figured out because you started doing stand-up?
I think so.
Yeah, because they're newer elements.
Well, it's like hosting a comedy show. It's not required to be funny to be a trivia host. It's sort of an additional thing you can
Yeah.
do if you want. So I've noticed that my ability to be funny at trivia has really skyrocketed since I've done stand-up.
Yeah.
Then I keep thinking, well, what can I add to this to make it even more interesting? Because when you first start out, you're just sort of announcing, and you're a little more passive. But now I feel like it's getting up to being more like a variety show or something.
Yeah. And the Unknown Trivia is yours, your company, and you started that when?
Like 4 years ago?
Okay. And you did that Cherrywood open mic, your first open mic in Austin.
Maybe like 3.5. It was like maybe
Okay.
6, 7 months before the pandemic or something.
Yeah, yeah. And, I mean, those are pretty close together, so you were a little bit motivated to, bring something extra to your trivia.
Well, I didn't know. I just I did. Everybody, you're probably familiar with Jordan Peterson, right? I was sort of at a crossroads. I was like, what am I going to do? I don't want to make a bigger trivia business. What am I going to do with my life? And I was like, well, am I going to go to grad school? I like this performing. So I actually did that writing exercise that he's got, the self-inventory and the writing about your future and whatever. And I thought, well, what I really like about this trivia is the performing. More than I'm not even that good at trivia as a player, and I'm not. So I thought, well, I need to focus on performing things, and so then that's how kind of the comedy came about.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I'm funny, I could probably do it, and I'd have to learn how to do it, but I could probably figure it out.
Yeah. And so how did you approach that first open mic? Did you write stuff? Did you swing it?
Geez, I don't know. I just had written some things. I had actually written them all out. Like I had like a page of writing, and I of course didn't remember most of it. And then I just got up there and I was like, oh. Well, it's funny too. Even I had been doing the trivia for like maybe 7 years at that point,
Yeah.
and I was still nervous to do like 3 minutes of stand-up. So it's a completely different thing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you're the MC versus, well, I know what Cherrywood is like. Nobody's paying attention to you, so you're just, performing to an audience of maybe somebody who'll look up from their notebooks and homework, if it's a random audience person.
I was just like, getting ready to get over the nerves of it and everything. And then
Yeah.
I didn't do another open mic for like 6 months after that or something.
Ah. Because you were busy or because you were intimidated or?
I was still kind of exploring if I wanted to do that or if it was going to be improv or some other
Yeah.
kind of thing. But then I was like, no, that was all right. Maybe I could try that again.
And you went back to Cherrywood or tried another one?
I used to go to Opa a lot on Lamar. They had that one. Then there was one, Micheladas used to be upstairs on, I think it's like 4th Street or something.
Yeah.
That one a lot. And then everything closed down again, of course. So I was basically just doing Favor at that time. And then, as things started to open up, I'd go to the different ones.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you did start picking up hosting shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know the first time I met you, you I think had just picked up Castro's, or you were getting involved with Castro's, which, there's some history there, which I'd rather not get into too much, but that was the first time I met you. So that was maybe close to 3 years ago.
Well, that was another thing where somebody was just like, I want this thing to keep going. I don't want to do it myself.
Yeah.
You seem to be able to do the hosting part of it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. And I was like, well, that's a great opportunity, twice a month. And I'll go out there. And that show was okay.
Yeah.
You get a few people. Sometimes it was good. Like, Mary Helen did the G-Spot one out there one time. And there were like 60 people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa.
Well, she hustled for those crowds. Yeah.
But then the next time we did it, there was like 4 people. So I was like, geez, this is really volatile,
Yeah.
But again, being the host is much easier because I have that hosting experience. So I had to try to learn how to do the material and stuff. So that was a nice. Well, I consider myself reliable, and I'm somebody who's going to show up and do it, and I don't mind being there for the whole show.
Yeah, yeah. One of the lessons of life as a comic and hosting shows is sometimes it really helps if the venue is on board and helps with the promotions. If you're the only one that's promoting and you're just promoting to the Facebook groups full of comics, other comics, it's a lot tougher than if the venue will also do promotion. And for me, that was an example of a venue that really didn't invest that much effort into the promotion side. After I ended up working with another venue that was really into the promotion side, and so that was really helpful.
Well, and 2, they're out of business now. So it goes to show, like, it is. I didn't understand that at the beginning either. Like, I was like, oh yeah, you just turn on the microphone and people love comedy, they'll be here, right?
Yeah,
like,
no.
Actually they won't. Like, so I started trying to learn how to do Instagram ads, and like, when I was doing Indian Roller, I would spend probably $15 or $20 each week to do the ads, and maybe I'd get like 10 people.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd get 20. Sometimes there'd be 4. But that's like you still got to invest the money. Like,
right. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of lessons learned, and then the added layer on that we have is our location. Like, we're outside the perimeter of Austin. You still do a lot of stuff in Austin proper, but developing any kind of comedy scene in an area that just isn't used to that is.
Plus, to get the comics to come out,
Yeah.
So that show is on a Saturday. So what happened is I'd book out the people maybe a month in advance. Oh yeah, I'm real excited to do the show. Then the day of, they would put it in their GPS, and they'd be like, "Oh, it's 30 minutes. I can't make it."
Yeah.
So I just started overbooking it and getting used to that. But I was like, this is annoying. Like,
Yeah.
and nothing against them. Maybe they didn't want to spend the money on the gas or whatever. But it was like, it became such a problem that I had to book maybe 8 people, and I would expect 5, and then other people would show up, and I just put them on.
Yeah.
And then that's just how I ended up doing it.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, I feel like we're blowing through a whole bunch of things, but I feel like also that talking about some of the business elements of comedy is useful to people.
Oh yeah.
So how have you felt about stand-up comedy over the last 2-3 years when you had the shutdown and your performance spaces were gone, and then now the return of it?
Well, for me, I didn't really know what it was like before. I was barely just dipping my toes in prior, so like I just know what's happening now.
Yeah.
But as far as like, I'm excited that there's so many places to do it. Like, there's just so many people down here who have the time and they have the interest. So if you set up a show, it's easy to book it.
Yeah. Okay, so you apparently don't like elaborating on answers. You're just letting me ask a question, and then you just answer it, and then you don't elaborate. This is what I'm finding.
Oh.
We're going to be done in about 20 minutes.
No, I'll try to talk more of a drawl. Well, my thing is, too, like, you're talking about the business, like, I do think all the things should make money, So, like,
yes.
Like, this is my job now, between the trivia and producing shows. I'm making enough to live,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not getting rich, but it's like, I have a income that's steady, and like, my goal is like, I've noticed there's not a lot of people doing clean comedy in Austin. So there are some, like I know Simply Courtney's doing that, and there's certain people, I have sort of a list who can do clean,
Yeah.
So my kind of next goal is I want to set up a clean showcase, and that way that'll be sort of my proving ground for people who I want to have for corporate shows. So
Yeah.
like, but that's a long project. That'll probably take a couple of years to get going. But that's sort of what I want to do, because like, corporate shows obviously pay more. You know, it's hard to. They're only going to get them once in a while, and that's okay. But
Yeah.
like, it'd be great if people had an opportunity and a reason to do clean. Because again, if you do clean, no one seems to. There isn't really opportunities for that, or people don't seem to mind if it's like really dirty. But
Right.
for some places, it's not like that. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it almost seems like that's setting you up for really blowing up your business, because if you've got a trivia arm that's doing really well and is proven, and then you have this other arm of your business, I mean, you're really just building up your own business as well. So that's pretty cool.
Well, and I do these trivia shows at people's apartment buildings, and so I can. What I like about the trivia is I'm the only one speaking, so I can guarantee it's going to be a certain level of cleanliness.
Yeah.
In some places, it doesn't matter. Like when I do the show on Monday, I could be as blue as I want. Who cares?
Uh-huh.
But if it's in an apartment and you don't know everybody, and it's like, you know, you want to be a little more PG-13.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just like gotten more on the clean side just from that. And then I'm looking at comedy. I'm like, well, there's no way I'm going to be the dirtiest comic. That's just not even possible. So like, well, what's the other thing? I could be like a relatively clean one and somebody who can do more businessy stuff. And so then, well, that's a viable thing too. Why
Yeah.
not do that? You know?
Yeah. Do you think you're smarter now because of all of those experiences of aimlessness and trying different things? Do you think you're smarter now at figuring out an angle for where you can succeed?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I've done so many things that, again, it's not a matter of like, could I have done the thing? It's like, why am I doing it? If I can't answer that why, then I'm like, well, I guess I'll go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But I'll just like, I don't know, I've had so many trivia shows that have failed, so I know what to look for. I know it's got to be a bar that's got food. It's got to have open seating. And again, like you mentioned, the staff and the owner have to be into it.
Yeah.
And if you don't meet those three things, just forget it. Because I've had places where they try to get you down on the pay and they tell you, oh, we'll do it once a month and we'll see. And it's like, no, you know, I want to do it once a week. This is the product and this is the price. And if you like it, it'll be great. And if you don't, have a good day, you know.
Yeah.
That's the same way we should do the comedy too. Like, you know, I don't have to do any marketing for the Lucky Dog. They have foot traffic.
Yeah.
So that isn't something I did by being really smart. I just happened to be in the right place for that.
Yeah.
So you can't create that somewhere else. If I'm going to do a show that's like the Indian Roller, I was like, nobody's walking in here. I have to do the marketing part. So I learned by like taking on that new thing, going, okay, well, how is this going to work? And then, you know, I had like 50 shows there, so I was like, that was a pretty good experience.
It's a good run. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll find another place to do it, and it'll have its own basket of challenges. But like, if they have those three things, then it should be fine.
Yeah. That's a really important lesson for people to take away too, is, you know, at a minimum, these three things.
Well, you don't have to work with everybody. Like,
Yeah.
I had somebody email me, and they're like, oh, we'd really like to do your Connect 4 tournament. And I was like, oh, that'd be great, you know. So I'm real excited. When I drove up to the place, and it's too small. So I'm like, there's nothing that's going to make this work. And also, it's not going to make money for the bar. So then it's not going to work for them.
Yeah.
So I just told them, hey, for what I'm doing here, it's just not going to work for you guys. And they were like, oh, thanks for letting us know, you know. But sometimes if I was just getting going, I would have just said, yeah, we'll do it, $20, I don't care, whatever, you know, just to get it going. But like, now it's like I know, that I want the thing to last. Because if I'm going to spend my time on it and stuff, I want something that's going to endure as much as possible. I mean,
Yeah. I feel like the successful comics in the universe, they say yes to everything first until they realize there's a lot I can say no to and still be successful and actually become more successful.
yeah, it's hard for me to say no to things. I'm just starting to running out of free time.
Well, that's when you have to say no, is if you've run out of the free time.
Well, yeah, and I've got to a point where I'm like, every day of the night I've got something, which is good.
Yeah.
But then also it's like, it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And gas prices climbing up, because that's one thing that you and I have in common is by living so far out, going into town. Like, I can't even imagine going into town every single day of the week. And, you know, the gas that would cost, unless you're driving an all-electric vehicle, which,
Well, my Kia is pretty good on gas, you know, a little solar. But
yeah.
Well, I only drive into town once a day, and then I drive back, and the traffic's not really that bad at like 2 in the morning. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's true. I did like that about driving home from a late night show is, super easy to
Yeah, and you wave
get
at the
across.
3 police officers that are
Yeah,
on the way, and they go,
exactly.
It's just the only car on the road.
Yeah, they're like, oh man, this person's not speeding. Darn it.
What am I gonna do the rest of the
Yeah.
night? Probably nothing.
And I guess you stay connected to the Austin scene by being there every night and seeing what's going on.
Well, and two, sometimes at the Lucky Duck, so like, I get there at 6, and we do the tag mic from 6:30 to 7:30, and then we take a little break, and then we do the open mic from 8 till 2 in the morning. So sometimes I see 80 to 85 comics. So that makes it really easy to book because I'm literally getting a very good variety.
You're getting an audition basically of.
Yeah, and so it was like super easy. I basically book. Well, once I get another showcase going, I'll book out of there again.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
And so that helps.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, it's just fun. Again, I use the farts there a lot. Just to kind of cut the tension. Well, and to talk about innovation, so like, I don't know if you've been down over there, but there's just like a wall, and then they like run the cord out, and then you've got like the mic stand there and the stool. And one day I got it in my head. I was like, I want to be able to play these farts off my phone.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, well, how am I going to do that? So like, am I going to bring my laptop in every week? I was like, I don't want to do that. So I realized that I got this thing. It's like a little Bluetooth dongle, and I can like plug it into the soundboard, and then I can play them off my phone. So I just was like, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
So again, I had the idea in my head, this is what I want. Then
Yeah.
I went out and figured out the tech to kind of get it to work.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm loving this conversation because we're not, well, it's going to sound bad. We're not even talking about your comedy per se. We're talking about how you've solved issues and how you've like figured out how to navigate the world of comedy.
Well, writing jokes is sort of like problem solving.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something funny. I went to the FPIA, and I had a pretty good set. But I did the I don't know, are we allowed to be like explicit?
Yes, you can.
Oh, good.
Yes, nobody can hear.
Oh, good, yeah. Well, anyways, so all the jokes have the same punchline, and it's big fat cock, And so, like, I got thinking about it one day, because I was doing the Riverside Screw Job, which is like a one-liner competition. And everybody does their one-liners, and I maybe had like 10 or 12 or something. Well, I kept getting eliminated, and I was like, what would be fun is I need like a gimmick. So I was like, I'll do a series of one-liners, and they all have the same punchline. That'll be great. And I thought, okay, that's pretty funny. Then what is the most hack thing I could possibly do? Like, okay, dick jokes. So it's dick or fart jokes.
Yeah.
I'll do the dick jokes. Yeah. So anyways, for my FPA set, I did that for 5 minutes. And it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting eliminated, but like I took a little bit of a gamble there, but I just think that's so funny because
Yeah.
like if you sat there on paper and wrote it all out, you'd be like, this will never work. But like it kind of does.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll take like an idiom and I'll pair it with big fat cock. So then I just keep doing them until people get tired of it.
And throw tomatoes on stage.
Oh, but it's funny because the first 4 or 5, they'll kind of laugh.
Yeah.
And then they kind of go, oh, this is what this is? And then I'll catch them on one, and it'll kind of like move like this.
Yeah.
And so it is sort of a niche thing, but I think that's like just the idiocy of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that can't be all you do.
No, I have regular material and stuff, but like I focus on like, I think failure is really funny. Like trying to, one of my stronger bits is about my mailbox being broken, and you think to yourself, well, we live in this digital age, like who cares? What's the problem with that? But as I start unfurling the different things as my life is spiraling out of control from this mailbox being broken, it gets funnier and funnier. I start coming up with these scenarios of things that are really going wrong but it starts out with that, to me, that trivial inconvenience or that, and then spirals out into just like madness.
Yeah. I had been talking to somebody who made a comment about, I'm pretty sure it was Dave Chappelle. Like he said a sentence, and then he like unpacked like every element to that sentence, and that, you know, from one sentence he could create like this whole long bit. So it kind of sounds like something that you're doing.
I like that. Like, I have a lot of jokes about coins. So, like, on the surface, there's nothing there, you know? What could be, the idea is, like, that is so boring. It's below the level of people's interest.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Start with that.
Yeah.
So, one of my bits is, like, I'm in the In-N-Out burger, and I gotta wash my hands before I get the burger. And there's, like, a wet quarter on the ground. That's, like, and then what happens after that? You know? To me, it's, like, so funny.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I have this other one. I'll be like, yeah, I collect coins from the ground. You know? So that's the kind of thing that, like, I don't know. The mundane is what attracts me to it. Because again, you can surprise people. Because if they think it's just like so boring, and then when you hit them with the punchline, it's not that it's that funny, but the gap in between that is like larger.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Seinfeld built an entire career off of the idea of nothing.
Oh yeah.
And things that should not make for comedy.
Like, I have one about getting butter from H-E-B. That's like pretty good. So it's like 1 minute of just like asinine talk, and then there's one pun at the end, and then that's the joke. And people really like. And I've had people come up to me and be like, "That one really sticks out to me. I don't know what's so stupid about it." But also, it's like, you know, like Norm Macdonald's got that moth joke, you know. It's like that, but like way shorter. So like he's just got all this nonsense in the beginning, and then there's just that little joke at the end.
Yeah.
It's like that, but just like a minute.
Yeah. Do you study other comics and or watch a lot of specials and learn from them, or do you feel like you learn from them?
Oh yeah, I definitely listen to like Norm Macdonald a lot and like David Tell, but also I read a lot of biographies of comics. Just to kind of, well, even before I got started, I thought to myself, what am I getting into here if I do this stand up? What is the life of a comedian? And also everybody will tell you, well, they don't make any money, and like my dad said, well, the chance of you being a famous stand-up is less than being in the NFL or something, you know. So I'm like, okay, you know, thanks, you know. But
far less head injury, though, hopefully.
Well, that's true. But also, I thought that you had to define what you think of as success.
Yeah.
So, that, like, anyways, so before I even did a mic, except for the one in college there, I read like 12 biographies of comedians, you know. And so you get a pattern. They all did it in obscurity for like 10 years or more or less. And then something happened where they were discovered or something. But like in that interim, they were poor, you know, they didn't make any money, no acclaim or whatever you want. And then that's just the ones who made it.
Yeah.
There's that survivorship bias. So there's probably thousands who went through that period and did it. So I sat down and I thought, okay, you're going to do this for 10 years. And you may make like $0. It may cost you money to do it. And at the end, you may have nothing. You could have started a business or something. How does that all sound?
Yeah.
And I strangely was like, that sounds pretty good. You know? So there's a certain amount of, I don't know, some delusion or something. But it appealed to me. And I was like, well, okay, that's the deal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, when you find something that really speaks to you, you're willing to make that gamble.
Well, sure, and also you get your pay and fulfillment too, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I could have just continued to do trivia, but it wasn't providing me with that fulfillment. So I was searching for something. I mean, I certainly do it because I like it, but it's more of a hobby business now. You know.
Yeah. Who are some of your favorite biographies that you read?
Well, I read Tina Fey's The Bossy Pants. You know, I'm rereading Steve Martin's Born Standing Up. You know. I read Norm Macdonald's, although it's not actually a biography, but you know that was pretty good. Jon Stewart, you know, he wrote one. I mean, a lot of people do it, and like, I've listened to Jeff Foxworthy a lot, talking about his life and stuff. But yeah, it's just like, even Jon Stewart, he said, well, I had like 30 jobs before I started doing it. I was like, oh, okay, well, check that box.
That's
I guess
relatable.
Yeah, so that was comforting in a way too, to have that roadmap of like, well, this is what you have to do, you know, and also there's not going to be it's not a guarantee, of course.
Yeah.
But then I thought, I don't know, I have a certain tolerance for uncertainty, so
Yeah.
that's okay. You know.
Yeah. I want to pivot to something because you seem like you're an astute observer of things and, figuring out how things work for you. You you said you started comedy in Austin 2 or 3 years ago, which is right when the pandemic locked everything down. What are your observations about the Austin comedy scene, not having necessarily a lot of information about it before the pandemic?
I don't know, it just seems very like booming. I
Yeah.
guess everybody wants to be down here. There's certainly a certain sense of excitement. Well, even like when I would post the Indian Roller Show, it's just a bar show. I'd put it on Eventbrite, and I'd get people hitting me up from all over the place wanting to be on it. I was like, I mean, yeah, I'll put you on it, but it's like a bar show. Like you're gonna drive down from wherever,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh yeah, it's cool. I'll have the stage time. Now some people came in and go, oh, but I was like, like, oh, I wasted a $40 Uber for this.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, hey, you're welcome.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, it does seem like it'll be yet to be seen whether or not it becomes what people think it will become in the future, I guess. But I don't know. I think it's a good place to be doing it, especially because I'm a newer comedian. I noticed right when the pandemic was over, I felt like I had access to people more, and now it's sort of dissipated. Now people are kind of getting more into their cliques or whatever.
Yeah, that's in sync with my observation. It seemed like, it was free for all for, late 20 and most of 2021. And now because a lot of the old guard comics have come back and they're doing their shows that they were doing before. And I feel like it's less of a free for all. But maybe, I don't know, again, living out here, and not going in every single day, I don't see it the way that you do either.
Well, like Nick Roche, who started the San Jack Saloon, he had been here 1 week. And someone said, hey, why don't you start an open mic? He goes, all right, well, we're still doing that one.
Yeah.
So, but again, I don't have anything to compare it to. I don't know what it was like prior. So it's like, but I feel like there's a certain amount of excitement, especially like, Cap City's open now, and then the Creek, and then you've got the Vulcan, you've got all these places, you got all these independent shows.
Yeah.
So like, people are after it. And also we got the East Austin Comedy Club now. And so it's like, and I tell people it's hard to go to a bad show now because there's so much talent. Like, you would think it would make it so competitive, but in a sense, it's going to rise all of our boats.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And that's something I've been saying all along is, you might have the comic. It seemed like you had the comics who just thought, I'm up here on a stage, I have a mic, I'm going to go as blue and as inappropriate as possible. And that's their right to do that.
Sure.
But at a certain point, you're going to have to elevate your material if you want to get booked on certain shows or, get a higher level, or you're going to have to write smarter blue comedy.
Well, too, there's a matter of suitability. Like some people, well, when I had the Indian Roller, there were 2 restrictions. They didn't want any anti-LGBTQ stuff, and they didn't want it to be too racist. Well, that eliminates some people, and that's okay. And I just told them that right out of the bat, These are the requirements. It's not a matter of you being funny or not. There's just these things, and some people didn't like to hear that. I told them, hey, well, I work for the bar for this, But 2, there's plenty of room for everybody to do every kind of comedy, And to think you're going to be on every single show sounds nice, but like some you're just not suitable for. Like I can't be on the Filthy Show. I'm not a filthy comic.
Yeah.
That just wouldn't work. Like, and so I know people get a little in their egos about it, but just to think about it, like there's plenty of shows to be on.
Yeah. Yeah, after a certain point, if you're performing 3 to 5 years, you kind of know what your thing is. You know the style of comedy that you're doing and that you're comfortable doing, and you find places for that.
Well, like they used to do that show at the Wanderlust right by 35 there, and I had fantastic sets in there because I worked at a winery. So I could, the crowd that would be attracted to that, I would be able to speak to them really well. And then, like I go up to the Anderson Mill pub, and it's like completely different.
Yeah.
So that one really appeals to me because there's a certain, they almost want to be insulted or something. And I see some comics are a little nervous, but I'm just like, hey, I go, hey, I was looking for the Andersonville pub on my GPS, and now I got flagged as a sex offender, And they're like, yeah, that's the way.
Oh gosh.
That's the kind of joke that wouldn't go,
Yeah.
So you have to be adaptable.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that is true. That is a life lesson in the world of comedy is be adaptable.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and those, the jokes that work in one room, obviously, you don't know what they're going to do in the other room. You gotta do all the rooms.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's take a little break here and we'll do our little where should we begin card game. I've got 2 cards from the deck in front of you. You can pick one and just read it aloud and then go from there.
I'll go for this one.
Okay.
Oh, it's upside down. When I look in the mirror, the first thing I see, ...
Huh.
Probably my beard.
Literal man. Oh my God. Don't want to take it to profound and deep levels.
That is pretty profound. I could have seen my mustache or something, or my eyebrow, I guess. Oh, yeah, the beard's looking pretty good.
All right, let's see.
What'd you get?
Let's see, what did I get? I'm the most judgmental when it comes to, oh my God.
See, I'm glad you got that one.
Oh, man.
I find myself not to be too judgmental.
That's hilarious because I am so judgmental. I'm the most judgmental when it comes to Alden's beard. No, just kidding.
Not my beard.
I think manners. I'm like, boy, if we're eating a meal together and you slurp and you, yeah, I think that was an invitation, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
No, I didn't. Well done, well done. Yeah, no, it's a curse because I remember growing up thinking, man, my mom is so judgmental, and thinking that I wasn't as judgmental, but now with my son, like he's judgmental, and I'm like, well, I'm obviously the connecting link here. I'm probably way more judgmental than I realize.
Well, we're cursed to be our parents in some sense.
Yeah, yeah.
I used to think I was really open-minded, and then I realized I'm getting more like stubborn like my dad.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I find myself the same way. I was raised in a conservative town, but then moved to Austin and went to school, so I like the whole liberal open-mindedness thing, filtered in. But I have noticed as I get older, like there are certain things where, like, oh, I'm not as liberal as I thought. I try to be. I try really hard. Not necessarily to be liberal. I try hard to be open-minded because I feel like with this platform, I have to be open-minded.
Sure.
So.
Well, I've heard the saying, if you are young and you're conservative, you don't have a heart. And if you're old and, if you're old and liberal, you don't have a brain. I guess I've heard that one.
Yeah.
So I think people feel that way, I think.
Yeah.
But also, you get used to the thing that you're used to.
Yeah.
So then, as you get older, you're like, well, I want it to be like that.
Yeah.
And then you've done a bunch of things, so you do have opinions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My mom used to work with somebody, and he'd always give me a hard time. It's like, you're still young. You're going to become conservative. Trust me. And every once in a while, I feel like writing him saying, I'm still waiting.
Yeah, right. I guess I'm going to live to 200 then.
Yeah. He was just convinced it was going to happen, that, apparently it's the rite of passage in his mind that, I'd get over it.
This is just a fad.
Yeah. I'm like, okay. Okay. Well, what do you want to talk about? I feel like I've gone through my list of stuff that I've wanted to talk about, and you're so damned efficient in answering.
That's what we're trying to do. Cut out the words, Well, I tell you, I've been really focused on the writing of comedy,
Yeah.
So, when I was first going, for that first year, I was doing stories with no punchlines, but I was like, oh, people are kind of smirking, I thought, well, then I came to the realization, I do not know how to write a punchline. That's a big problem. So I thought, well, okay, I'm just going to do that exclusively for a while. So I do this thing, the Write 10. And so the guy that does the hot breath, they put out a word every day. And you try to write 10 jokes in 10 minutes.
Huh.
And
That's cool.
I've been doing that for like maybe a year and a half now. Mm-hmm. So I've noticed it's really increased my ability to write punchlines.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps me. And now I'm helping out. They have this show they do on Mondays at the Creek. It's like the Good Evening News. And they have people writing the topical jokes. So I've been volunteering to do that. So like, that's also helping me think about, where are the punches? Punch, punch,
Yeah.
punch. Like,
Yeah. Well, that's good to keep like pushing yourself and learning. My boyfriend has this theory about comedy that there's two camps of comics. There's the the comic, and then there's the one that actually makes you laugh. And whenever I hear somebody talk about like the storytelling comic, like sometimes they're just telling you a story. It's like a TED talk. Like they're on board with you, so they're gonna woo along with you, but that's not necessarily a laugh.
sure.
So yeah, writing those punchlines and getting those punchlines in, that's what's gonna pivot you to the actual make you laugh comic.
Well, I'd agree. Like, again, I think that's right. People start out as a story comic or a one-liner comic, and then if they can kind of move toward each other a little bit. So yeah, if you like now when I have a good story, like I had a road rage incident with somebody, and I was driving, and like I kind of was daydreaming and texting, and I look up in my rearview mirror, and that guy's flipping me the bird, It's like, oh, this is gonna be a good bit, But then, as he
That's the heart of a comic right there. I'm fearing for my life, but man, this is gonna be good material.
yeah, so anyways, I pulled into the HEB. Well, he followed me,
Ooh.
So I pull over and I kind of went, oh, and he just drove past. And so I was like, well, no, I'm gonna go talk to him. So I actually like parked over by him, and he rolled down his window and he's like, I'm like, what's the problem? He's like, oh, you're driving kind of slow. I was like, okay. And I just like walked off, So then I thought, okay, so I'll write out the incidents. Then where are the punches in that going to be?
Yeah.
So then when I tell the story, and I do that part and I go, and he was flipping me the bird. And I don't like that, So that becomes, okay, there's a note there. And then, oh, he followed me. Then he drove right past. I don't like that, So like, I started following him. And I started, I don't know, I'm a big man, I'm going to, so like, to take it and put the punches on top of it.
Yeah.
And then the kind of the final one is I look at him in the mirror as he's rolled down his window, and I'm like, I was texting, bitch. And I was like, no. And I'm like, in Texas, that's an invitation to be shot in the face, but he didn't do it, So like, but to take that core of the story, because that all sort of happened, and then, but before I wouldn't have had the ability to add that punches into it. Because then too, if you're just doing one-liners that are sort of a grab bag, then it's like, well, how do you create a coherent narrative? Because I find it hard to memorize all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It helps if there's a grain of truth that you can call back on, and then you can, your brain can work, with practice, can work on, oh, I've got the punchline here, or I need to make sure I insert this because that leads up to my other punchline.
Well, and in that road rage one, if I can actually summon up the feeling of being angry, then it makes it much funnier for the audience. But if I'm just doing it, if I'm just speaking it, it's not quite as good.
Yeah.
But if they can really feel like I had this one, like Chase Bank has been charging me $12 a month for my checking account because I don't have direct deposit and stuff. So like that really makes me angry. So I wrote that, okay, this is good. This is a thing that really, is kind of checks boxes for me. It's very mundane. It really does make me angry, and it's like a failure because I could just switch banks or something. But but I have credit cards or whatever. So I'm just like railing against Chase Bank, and also it's like good targeting because like nobody's on the side of Chase Bank. I'm not punching down on them. They're like the powerful ones.
Yeah,
so like, to me, that's very funny, and I'll be like, yeah. So actually, now I'm a local guide on Google, I only rate one business, Chase Banks. So like right there, it's like, but actually I am doing that.
Yeah.
So I'll get on there and I'll give them a 1 star and I'll be like, Chase Bank charged me $12 a month, despicable, So I've gotten like 45 of those, So to me, that's very funny. Like, I'm sure they're not reading it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they could care less.
Right.
They have the policy in there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And they're not going to change it. But actually, I did call them one time. And I got him to rescind the $12 for like 1 month. So now I've got to do that like every month. So it's like 2 hours on the phone tree and stuff. So again, to me, that idea of like, a lot of people would just change banks or they would just let it go.
Yeah, yeah.
For some reason, in my brain, I want to like fiddle with it. And so that's like, to me, where a lot of the humor comes in. Because like, Well, like I write this, I write a little blog, and it's called a Sick Desire for Savings. Okay? And the idea is, if you're really cheap and you don't value your time, then you can do these like really stupid things to try to save money. Like I used to drive around to like 4 stores, and I'm like, okay, the detergent is like $1 cheaper here, but the cheese, you know what I mean? So that's idiotic. But if in your calculation you don't include like the 2 hours you drove around in the gas,
Yeah.
then it's a great deal. You
Yeah.
know? So like it's sort of a. I find that very funny because a lot of people in my family do that.
Yeah.
They'll drive across town to save a penny on the gas, things like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah. It's like the buying in bulk person. It's like, oh, if I buy this all on sale, then I'll never run out of peanut butter.
Yeah, right. I got 10 years of peanut butter. Maybe that's what preppers are. They're just getting ready, but they're really just discount hounds.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Run with the idea.
But there again, it's like a thing. I noticed that about myself. That's a personality quirk. Mm-hmm. But also, it's something people can relate to a
Yeah.
little more. So like that to me is a good place to mine the material.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you want to? I mean, is there more wisdom from Alden that people should have?
I don't know. I guess just write more. I don't know. I try to write a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
but also just having fun. People are taking comedy so seriously sometimes.
Yeah.
And theoretically, it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I get that too. I'll get a little FOMO or something about different shows, but I'm like, well, it's a long process.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you get yourself out of those funks?
Well, I just try to think about the things I am doing that are good.
Mm-hmm.
Have some gratitude. Like I go, oh well, I'm doing trivia a couple nights a week, and I got the Lucky Duck on Wednesday, and Thursday I got an apartment, and Friday, Saturday I'll be at the Tiger Den, and Sunday I'm over at the Sandjack. So like, a lot of people would like to have those opportunities,
Yeah.
and so I shouldn't be so worried about what other people are doing, because and it just takes time to continue to improve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just excited about it because like I notice an improvement in my ability to do it, and so that feels nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's all important stuff. I mean, you've shared a lot of profound stuff today that anybody starting out should, kind of hang on to as.
Well, I was talking to a new comic who had come to town. He'd been doing comedy before, and he's like, well, how do I get on these shows and this and that? And I was like, well, you gotta hang out and people gotta see you and stuff. But I also said to him, what's in it for the booker? Why do they want to help you out? And I think of that when I'm trying to start a show at a bar. Like, obviously I want to perform and I want to do comedy, and that's great. Why does the bar care about that? They want to sell drinks.
Yeah.
That's all they care about.
Yep.
So if I can answer that question for them, then they'll want to have it. But if it's just about my interests, then who cares? So same with booking. Like, are you booking a show? That's a nice way to get onto a local show that you just kind of exchange. Or, are you willing to help them out with the marketing? Are you willing to pass out flyers or be the guest host sometime or just whatever? So then, to me, those things are nice things to do because then it shows that you're wanting to contribute. So, like every week I bring in a guest host for the Lucky Duck now. And I used to host the whole 6 hours, but now it's like, I want to give somebody else a shot to try it out. And, people like the opportunity and they do a good job. And, but also you get to see what kind of attitude they have when they're given the power,
Yeah.
I mean, it seems trivial, but like, when I hand that list over to the person and I go, okay, don't ask me how to do it. It's up to you. And the way they do it is very telling.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Because you give them an unordered list and then is that what you're saying?
Oh, well, I have a list that's sort of incoherent, and I just kind of go, okay, do whatever you want for your hour. And then they do. Some people will invite people over that they want, or some people will go by the list, or some people will bump a bunch of people. And they just do it how they want to do it, which is great.
Yeah.
I try to make it very chaotic,
Oh, you learn a lot about somebody in chaos.
Well, and two, on paper, a lot of the things of the Lucky Duck are bad. Like, there's music gently playing through the speaker most of the time during the show. There's a huge TV that's going.
Oh, gosh.
We don't turn it off. Okay, then I purposely bring in a broken mic stand every week. So, like, and and also it's outside, okay?
Oh gosh.
And then you're actually below the audience. You're in a pit, okay? And for some reason, it's like very popular. And I think it's in spite of the difficulties.
Yeah.
Like, that's good. It's making people stronger. Like, when they pick up that mic stand, they're just like, oh, and it just breaks. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it. I find it kind of funny, but also like, I don't know, it adds a little more resilience.
Yeah.
Because you just got to keep going. And like, to me, that's good.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't want to coddle ourselves too much.
Yeah. I don't know if you were doing comedy when was it called the Lucky Goat? I don't know. I've got Lucky Duck stuck in my brain. It was the Goat Tavern. It was right on Guadalupe. I don't know if you ever knew about that mic. It was Saturday nights. And it was the worst. But that was the one, when I was doing comedy, that was the one I loved the most because it was such a disaster. There was always something happening behind you. There was one time where the naked bicyclists were riding past, and it was a huge window onto the street. And then, most of the time people who were in the bar, they didn't want to hear comedy. And I thought it was the best. It had the best vibe because you had all these challenges to deal with. And that actually brought the comics together. I can still throw out that Goat Tavern name, and people will be like, yeah, that was the best.
We've had car crashes.
Oh, God.
We had a guy bring a live armadillo that he caught on the street. People just falling over drunk all the time, stuff like that. But also, like, I read one of these, it was like a Malcolm Gladwell book, and he was talking about high achievement. And, like, if you want to find the best tennis players, you have to go to Eastern Europe, and they have these, like, broken down pads that they're doing tennis on, and they're just, like, the worst facilities possible.
Yeah.
You think, well, how can they outcompete these other
Yeah.
people? But his theory was that, like, that it's just like so bad that they don't feel like that they've arrived. They've got to continue to do the work, and so then it motivates them to be hungry.
Yeah.
So I sort of think of that with the Lucky Duck, like, nobody's there because they think it's great in some sense. They're there because they want to do the work.
Yeah.
And so that's
Yeah.
good. And some people don't come back. Oh, that's okay. It's like there's other places to do it, but like, I don't know. I look forward to it. It's a lot of fun. And, it brings me some joy, and people have good sets there and stuff too.
Yeah.
But they do sort of become accustomed to that, and then I imagine the next place will be less challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always good to perform under adversity because you need that practice. It's going to happen at some point.
Oh yeah, and just make us tougher, and it's good.
Yeah.
Good practice.
Yeah. Okay. Now, is there anything else we haven't talked about?
I don't know. I guess just again, like, I want to focus on doing that clean show,
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know. I'm just having a really good time doing the comedy stuff, and it's been, again, very rewarding,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I just have decided to do it, so I don't have, like, some people have more thoughts about the future and uncertainty and stuff, and to me, that's all. I had made the decision to do it when I started, and I'm just gonna be committed to doing it, and whatever the results are, I'll live with it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what you're getting yourself into.
Well, I do think that's important. Like, people sort of get into all sorts of things. Again, that was me. I was doing all kinds of jobs and different things, not really thinking about it. This has been one of the first times where I really just, okay, let's plan a little bit. Let's think about it. What are the results going to be like, or even like, what are you getting into here?
Yeah.
So I hope people will take some time to do that if they're gonna. What's the same with a musician or anybody? It's any artistic pursuit. Like, some people want to be a famous person. The goal I set for myself with comedy is I want to do this for a living. So I'm already sort of doing that.
Yeah.
So that's great. The rest is a sort of a bonus.
Right. Right. Cool. All right. Well, you're going to hate my closing question in this case.
Oh, is it that? Am I clairvoyant? I'll make up some other goal.
Oh, one word to describe your future.
Well, I would say unknown. I like that word, unknown. But when people think about uncertainty and they think about the unknown and that, they have a sense of fear.
Yeah.
Because but you shouldn't. It actually should be a thing of optimism.
Yeah.
Because whatever you're doing now, you won't be doing it. So there's like more possibilities, you know. But we're always like, oh, something bad's gonna happen or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, but like maybe it'll be something really good. Like,
Yeah. You never know. You literally do not know. Yeah.
well, and two, like when I would have liked to have the Indian roller show continue, but also I'm like, well, okay, that chapter is closed now, and I'm gonna go on to do some other thing.
Yeah.
And I learned some lessons, and that's great, you know. And then the next show, it'll be even better because I have more experience. And
Right.
also, people are happy to do that one mostly, you know. So that's good. Like, but it's just good to be on these shows and provide. I mean, I didn't make a lot of money doing it, but I think I paid out like $4,000 to the comedy, you know, in like $15 increments, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
still, that's nice. I mean,
Right. Yeah. It's good to pay artists.
well, even if I can only pay people like $15 or something, I feel like it's a sign of respect. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, that is a wrap on Comedy Wham presents Alden Schaub. Alden, why don't you tell us where we can find you on social media, and tell us where we can find you 6 days out of the week, or 7 if you're out every single night.
Oh, yes, that's true. Well, let's see. So social media, I have the Mob Schaub is my Instagram, and on Facebook, I just Alden Schaub Comedy. And then for the trivia, it's Unknown Trivia Instagram, and Unknown Trivia on Facebook. And then if you want to read my blog there, it's called A Sick Desire for Savings, and it's on Blogspot. And then yeah, I've been doing sketches. So I've been doing sketches for my Instagram reels, but then also I've been kind of co-producing Skip and Chuck's Life Sucks, and that's on YouTube. And then, yeah, so trivia on Monday. That's 7 to 9 at the Barton Springs Saloon. Tuesday is the Lucky Duck. That's 8 to 10. Then the tag writing mic is 6:30 to 7:30, and that's you got to sign up online because I only have 10 spots for that one. And then Thursday, right now I'm off. Friday I'm doing usually at the East Austin Comedy Club, and same with Saturday. And then Sunday I'm at the San Jack Saloon.
Busy, busy, busy.
Yeah, doing the stuff. I got to catch up.
Yeah. Well, we hope you've enjoyed learning about how Alden got to be the comedic genius that you heard today just as much as I have, and his profound lessons on getting started in comedy. This has been Comedy Wham presents Alden Schaub. I'm Valerie, and that's been funny. Thank you, Alden.
Thank you, Valerie. That was a good time.